1 2 1 2 1 2 party people. We coming up in 1 minute. My green with crystals like Folgers, picking up momentum, rolling like boulders. They call me ice, but I'm really much colder. My rhymes is heavy like the weight on my shoulders. I'm spitting that red hot smoldering lava. I fight to the end like the Navajo. Crack a bottle though, make it the goose with cranberry and triple sec. Triple my check, I feel the ripple effect of a fool on the loose. I hit you from every angle, from obtuse to right. Street shit like JJ, I'm dynamite. Slide me some dough, I show you an execution in the flesh, and promise not to leave nothing left. If you bomb it, I keep stabbing, shooting, damaging, looting, till it ain't no disputing who the greatest is. Da 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 da. What's up, party people? Yeah. Just hit me. All right, party people. In my effort. In my effort to continue to bring you guys loveliness, I got a dope show for you today in the wake of what's happening in America today. We got elections, we got presidents, we got police brutality, we got educational issues, we got all kinds of stuff, man. Well, I got a super duper duper special guest for you, and you're not about to see this man on no other show. Well, hey, somebody might reach out to him, but anyway, we are not playing here today, party people. Thanks for joining Mike Robertson Boulevard. Let me get some hand claps. We are not playing today, party people. Got a special guest coming on this show today, Mr. Willie Mukasa Ricks. That's right, due to knowledge, you can do one simple YouTube search and you will get all the answers you need. Before I go on though, hey, party people, man, please follow your boy on all my social media. I'm King Mike Boogie on all my stuff. I really need support on YouTube. I just started really kind of pushing it within the last month or so, and I need some folks to go on there and click that subscribe button. If I'm bringing you the loveliness, it costs you nothing. All you got to do is subscribe, and it really helps me out a lot because the algorithms look at all the subscriptions and all the activities, and then they boost you, and then when people search, you end up in people's searches, man. So please, 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 please go click the button. And look, if you like this show, if you like what I do, if you like what I do on the Mike Robertson Boulevard, please, man, click the like button and click the share button. Try to keep the cussing and all that stuff down to a minimum so that people feel more comfortable with clicking that share button. You know what I'm saying? Let's see who we got on that's joined us here today, man. I want to get a shout out to the peoples that's down, that's watching, that's logged in. You know what I'm saying? I've been excited, man. This shit been affecting me all day. I couldn't even sleep last night, and I couldn't figure out why. And I just really came to the conclusion that, dang, I got Mukasa coming on my show. Whew.
Couldn't even sleep, man. This stuff is real, man. Let's see who we got in the house, man. I got my man Ant Dog, Ant Turner in the house. What up? What up? I got my man Bear in the house. Osby Crump. Let's see. Who else we got? Can't really see all the people. William Swoop. What's up? What up? Ant Turner. Who else we got up in here, man? It's kind of hard to see the names the way I got this thing set up, but let's see. Who else is watching, man? Y'all gotta write something in the comments so I know that you're on here, and that's what it is. So far we got my man David Lee in the house. What's up, Dave? Mr. Wiz, what's popping? Anyway, I'm gonna keep checking these comments as we go along. So listen, today I'm not gonna play around. I'm not gonna do this. Oh, it's trending, and oh, this is funny. Let's watch this. No, we're not playing any games, y'all. I'm getting straight to it, man. Now, you guys saw the pictures in the beginning. I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Mukasa Ricks before I bring him on. He is one of the original people that was in the streets, in the trenches during the civil rights movement. He started the Stick group. He was one of the early influencers of the Panthers. There with the sit-ins, there with all the melees and the fights and the marches and everything, man. This brother has done it all. Ain't no fakeness. Listen, we're not talking about no hate. We're not here to hurt anybody's feelings. We only bring in truth. You got that? We only bring in truth. So if it's truth that you seek, it's truth that you shall find. Am I playing? No, I'm not playing. We got my man Rich Harrison. What's up, Rich? Scotty B in the house. What's up? We got my homegirl Denise. What's up? Yes, we're gonna do this damn thing. When you come in, please give me a little note so I know you right there, man, and I give you a little shine. So before I bring on Mr. Mukasa, and believe me, Mukasa is not going to be holding back. This brother has earned the right to say everything he's going to say. Again, we don't preach hate, we just preach truth. You got that? You got that? You got that, Chipotle? Huh? You got that? Anyways, let me play a little video about my man Ant Turner. Put the fists up. Let me play a little video so you guys get an introduction before I bring him on, all right? Let's do this. Y'all ready? Let's drop a beat. Oh, can always drop a beat. Let's get this popping.
From now, we want our freedom, justice, and equality, and black power at any price we have to pay. We don't care what the price has to be. We are willing to pay any price. We're going to stop these crackers from killing us regardless of what price we have to pay.
Can I have my mic?
One more thing. As far as I'm concerned, this meeting is over. This meeting is over. Go ahead.
All right, folks. I am so privileged today to have a special guest on my show. It gets no better than this. One of my major influences, from my younger days at Morehouse College. Throughout the years, he's been a major influence on so many people, always fighting the good fight for the struggle. Well loved. I can just keep going on and on and on and on and on. But let me just not even just keep on doing this elongated introduction and bring in the one and only Willie Mukasa Ricks. What's up? How you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
I really, really appreciate you coming on my show, Mukasa. As we talked off screen, I was so influenced by the messages you gave us on a daily basis on our campus. And in the moment, at the time, I did not really understand how powerful and important it was, but all of it sank in. And I think you touched a lot of people like myself around the country. Do you run into the guys from school a lot?
I still do, yes, sir. I run across them, and they very good, very cool.
Yeah, I think everybody smiles like I'm smiling, right?
Yes, sir. A lot of them give me good praise. I was pretty good up there. I didn't break in nobody's house, didn't steal nothing, and didn't hit nobody in the head. And I tried to just tell them the truth, so they all appreciate that.
Right. And the truth is the important part of the game, is the truth.
Of course.
Yep.
That's the one thing that's been stolen from us, is the truth.
Facts. And when you're telling people the truth and you're really giving them the real deal, it's like it hits you like a ton of bricks, especially our truth. So I really am privileged to have you here, man. So just I want to just start by, can you just tell us where you're from?
Well, you asked the question. I have to tell you the truth now. I'm from Africa.
Okay. Explain.
All of us from Africa. When you use the word from, our next word is Africa. We're from Africa, nowhere else. Africa.
Nowhere else. So the idea of saying I'm from Cleveland or Georgia or Tennessee
that's just where you're born, where you grew up. It's an incorrect. You get where somebody asks you a question, they be maybe asking one thing, and you give them a answer. That's however you say it, but you're not from nowhere but Africa. Your roots, your culture, your history. You're made up of African soil, and your biological makeup, or chemical makeup, is the African dirt in Africa, black dirt, whatever you want to call it, made up of diamonds, gold, oil, cobalt, manganese, mangoes, and every fruit in the world is what make you. That's why your women look so sweet and beautiful. Their hair, their skin, their nose, and everything else. But your makeup is from Africa.
Wow. So I like the way you said that too, because we are really made up from all the elements of the earth, right? All of the
Africa, from the African dirt, what's ever in the ground in Africa, and every natural resource in the world, every fruit and vegetable and things that we don't even know about now is in the grounds of Africa, and that's what make up our hair, nose, lip, everything.
Right.
Our history.
All those pieces go into making who we are. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. When did Africa even become Africa? Like as far as being identified as a name, because at one time, right, it's just planet Earth, right? Before there was a need to call it a name.
Well, I don't know. I know that I don't know when. I don't know what it was called. Somebody said a Cable land, a Kabula land, or whatever. But the land Africa, as we know it today, is the solid rock that's sitting in the center of the earth, and it's solid. It's deep down into the earth. It's no bottom, and the other parts of the world floated away from Africa. And you can fit them back in like a puzzle, but Africa is that solid rock that's sitting there, full of everything, diamonds, gold, everything.
Man, that is very true. I have seen sort of the models and footage of how, I guess, the other continents basically over time floated away, right?
All the drift theory.
Drift theory.
And all the other parts of the world would fit right back into Africa like a puzzle.
Is that a part of why our people are everywhere, or did we travel everywhere? What do you think?
Well, I don't know. It could be a part of where we're everywhere, and that's why people say that we're world people.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that our root land and the solid land that we come out of was Africa. And how we got to other parts of the world, were we on the rock when they drifted away from Africa? I know that many of us was kidnapped and scattered all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the main part, huh?
That's a part.
You're right. So when I want to go back to I guess around 1986 is when I first met you, and you introduced this idea. You introduced this idea to me and others called Pan-Africanism. Can you talk about what that is?
Well, Pan means Pan-Africanism. It's the concept that we all come together as one. Pan-Africanism means that you put all the parts together and work together and develop together and struggle together and fight for a certain territory. And the territory that we would fight for is Africa. And Pan-African means worldwide African unity. Worldwide. It means that we have to fight for Africa. Pan-Africanism means the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. Otherwise, the economic way you just make everything available for everybody through your economic system. Medicine, food, clothes, shelter, everything. You work to solve all the problems of the people. That's the socialist part of Pan-Africanism.
Wow. Now that's really, when you say bringing in everyone together, so that's including like South America, Panama, the islands, all these places where African people have landed?
Everywhere that we have been scattered in the world, everywhere that we find ourselves in the world, the one solution to whatever problem you have on the islands that you live on, the one solution that can solve all our problems and make us stronger is the liberation and unification of Africa. Africa is our base. It's our home base. And that if we stop the imperialists from raping and robbing and stealing and taking the resource from Africa, we could be the richest land on the face of the earth, because all the countries in the world have to come to Africa for their natural resources and all kind of other things that they get from Africa. But they all have to come to Africa to run their factories, industries, and many other things that they do. But Africa have everything on that land, and today it's being raped and robbed by the imperialists and the colonialists and taken out of Africa and put into other places that would ordinarily be poor countries, and but they're rich because of what they steal, rape, and rob out of Africa. And everywhere that you find Africa, every land that you find us on, we're the poorest people, we're the hungriest people, we're the ones that's dying from malnutrition, dying from all kinds of other things, because we don't have a strong home base. We don't have a land that we can control. Mm-hmm. And that land is Africa. And when we take control of that land again, we will be a very powerful people, because everybody in the world will have to come to us to buy our products or to buy our natural resources. Today, those resources are being taken from Africa. They've been taken for the last 500 years. We're being exploited and raped and robbed. And the reason you find people poor people on the richest continent in the world because of centuries of exploitation and domination. We've been dominated and exploited and raped and robbed for all these years, to the point that we once had the greatest water system, the greatest everything. And today, the people of that land, you find many people never seen a bathroom, never seen a clean drop of water, are suffering from malnutrition, hunger, and everything else. But everything that could solve that problem is in the natural resources of Africa.
It's all there, huh?
Of course it's there, and it's ours.
Right.
But it's being raped by the imperialists and the colonialists. Until we are able to take it back, then we'll forever be at the mercy of the United States, Europe, and all these other countries that need our resources.
It's amazing how it happens right under our noses, and it's like people don't even see it.
Oh, well, they're arrogant, and they do it on TV, they do it everywhere, and they just get up and tell lies and put their propaganda out and take our minds away from us and focus on us on all kind of other things. But they're doing it, and it's not hidden. And that the United States, the Democrats, Republicans, all of them are in the same imperialist bed, and all of them rape and rob Africa. All of them. And the only way they can survive is to continue the rape of Africa and to stealing of our resources and to working us at very low levels of economics and whatever, salaries and stuff. And we have to stop them. And it can only be stopped through revolution.
Only way, right?
Revolution is the only way. Matter of fact, we can take China for an example. If we look at China, how China was once one of the poorest places on the face of the earth, and they organized under the great leadership of Mao Zedong and the Communist part of China. They organized and they defeated the imperialists, they defeated the colonialists, and they ran them out of their country, and they ideologically trained and developed their people. They built their own economic system, they built their army, they built their defense system and offense system, able to fight and defend their land, their territory. And now China is one of the most richest, powerful, and most respected nations on the face of the earth. They defended their land, took it from the enemy, ran the British and all the other forces of imperialism out of their country. And today China is advancing got a major communist party, and it's advancing forward for the development of China and to strengthen of China and what have you. And they don't have to ask the white man or the Democrats or the Republicans or the imperialists for a penny. They develop their own self. They print their own money. So they got everything and they've got to make their own doctors, build their own hospitals and great schools and institutions, so they don't have to ask nobody for anything. And so if we want real freedom, that's the freedom that we are talking about, and not freedom where you begging the white man, begging the Democrat, begging the Republicans to give you a crumb or be nice to you, and looking for a good white man or a good white woman, which ain't no such thing. That's like looking for a good snake in the grass that just bit your babies and killed them. And now you want to go find a good one, and they need you for dinner, for supper, and everything else. That's like putting chickens. We're like chickens in the cage with wolves. They have no other choice but to eat us to get fat and survive. And so imperialism and colonialism have no choice but to rape, rob, and murder Africa, and to warmonger in order to hold on for what they have stolen hundreds of years ago and up to this very day, to this very moment.
What is it about what's happening right now with China in Africa? They're spending a lot of money and investments in Africa that has to be helping them in this plight that they're on right now to strengthen their own country. Is it beneficial to Africa? What's happening with their involvement?
Of course, it's beneficial, and that China come and at least they're paying for what they get, and they're developing and building and doing help develop Africa, where the United States and there and Europe, they came to Africa and killed thousands of people. When colonialism, which is the worst part of racism, colonialists came to Africa, they killed us by the millions. Like in the Congo, Leopold came there, killed millions. I mean, 60, 70 million people. It's way up there. Killed millions, and they made our people work on their, destroyed their kingdoms, their empires, their governments, their families, and took over everything and made the people in the Congo work for them. And they made them work. If you didn't work hard enough, they cut your ears off, cut your hands off, cut your feet off. And you had thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people with no ears, no hands, and no feet. But yet they were gathering up diamonds and gold and mangoes and apples and oranges and everything that they could find in that land and putting it on ships, taking it to Europe, and Europe getting richer and richer and richer, and the Congo getting poor and poor and poor. To the day the Congo is still, the land is still the richest land in the world, and it's got resources in the Congo that no other nations on earth has, and it's extremely rich with diamonds and gold and coltan and manganese, and it's responsible for the development of all of what they're doing here. Like, for an example, in the Congo, you can even use, well, right now, you can even, the resource called coltan is responsible for all electronics. These computers, computer in your car, computer electronics in your house, refrigerator, anything that you touch that have electronics in it, it would kill you. But the only reason it don't shock you is because of coltan. And that resource, 80-90% of it is found in the Congo, which make it, airplanes couldn't fly, computers, cell phones, could nothing work. And if the Congo, that make the Congo extremely valuable, even more valuable as gold. But we got many, many resources in the Congo that's equally as valuable as coltan. And these people are putting death squads in the Congo. They're killing us by the millions and thousands. And I think about 50,000 people die every year from the different levels of genocide that's taking place in the Congo. The United States is the number one gun runner.
Every year? You're saying every year?
Of course, in the last 5 years, 6 years, maybe 7, 8 million people have died. And they continue to die. And the United States is putting armies and guns in the Congo, death squads that's making all kind of wars there. And they, if they got a leadership or get a leadership, the United States participated in assassinating them, like they assassinated Patrice Lumumba in 1961. He was the prime minister, and that they went there. And when he became the prime minister, after the Belgium had been there for a long time, had them in slavery, cutting their ears, hands, and feet off. And the people came together in 61 and fought and gained their independence. And with the help of Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré, they gained their independence. And when they gained their independence, the prime minister was Patrice Lumumba, and that the United States participate in putting armies and CIA and other agents in the Congo with the help of Kennedy and Eisenhower. They went in there and they assassinated Lumumba. They killed him, murdered him, and burned his body. So yeah, Lumumba was murdered. Patrice Lumumba was murdered in the Congo, and that was the merging, one of the merging times of neo-colonialism, where they went and found Uncle Tom, a traitor, a murderer, unthinking black man, a man who think in the interest for Europe, allow the Europeans to think for them, and they helped kill Lumumba. And when they killed Lumumba, they put Mobutu Sese Seko in power, and Mobutu helped Belgium, helped the United States, helped Europe plunder, rob, and rape Africa for its natural resources, participating and continue to starve the people in the Congo, using soldiers using rape as a weapon. Even they're doing it right now today, raping the women, raping the children, and killing, murdering, and starving the people to death right as we talk in this very moment. And the most guilty party of the rape of the Congo is the United States. Of course, Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, the Europe, Western Europe is continuing to do it. So Africa is being raped as we talk today. And colonialism and neo-colonialism that now you don't see the white face, you see black faces carrying out the power and the crimes of imperialism, and the guns are basically coming from the United States government. Both Democrats and Republicans are participating in this. Both black presidents, white presidents, woman presidents, whoever you got, all of them participate in the rape of the Congo and taking the natural resources out, and they pay the people absolutely nothing. The mass of the people are born never seeing a clean glass of water, never seen a toilet, never seen a hospital, and never seen a decent meal. And they just scramble for the garbage and food that they eat, and they're being raped. And so the United States is continuing to commit the crimes against the people that they have committed since they came in existence, of putting genocide on the native people that was on this land that they called Indians, and they destroyed the Maya Empire, and the other empires that was on this land that they now call North, Central, and South America. You had many, many, many great empires here, Aztecs and what have you, and they committed genocide on them. And when they couldn't starve them to death, couldn't shoot enough of them with the bullets fast enough, they did spread diseases and germs, smallpox and yellow fever, and gave these blankets to women to cover their babies. And out of good justice, they gave them blankets. And when they had put smallpox and yellow fever, they spread a disease that killed them by the millions and millions and millions, what have you. So when you look at the United States and you look at Western Europe, you're seeing international killers and murderers that continue to commit genocide on our people. As a matter of fact, England and all of them, they killed, raped, robbed Africa so much that they gathered so much wealth. They built great buildings and great institutions in England, and even had these savages that call themselves kings and queens and whatever, but they're responsible for hundreds of millions of people dying all over the world.
Dang.
The spread, as a matter of fact, England killed and murdered so many people, and spread of colonialism, and settler colonialism is where the Europeans would leave their land and go settle on someone else's land and commit genocide on them, and then they would be the rulers and the kings and the presidents and the rulers of all these different countries around the world. And that's what they did, spread settler colonialism, but they committed genocide on the people. So settler colonialism is the worst form of any form of racism. So these bombs and these savages, uneducated people in Europe call themselves king, queens, and all kinds of other things, but we know they're nothing but colonial and imperialist aggressors, and we have to stop them at all levels. So to go back to your question about China, China don't have no armies in Africa. China has dropped no bombs in Africa. China is making no war in Africa. And if they're coming there and they're buying and paying for goods and help Africa develop and try to solve some of the exploitation and some of the underdevelopment that the United States and Europe have created, at least they're helping us develop. Right. And everybody got to come to Africa, because Africa got what everybody need to develop. Like Japan is a great developer, a great technological country, and so is Korea, South Korea, and that they got all kind of factories and industries. But in order to make and run those industries or have anything to go in those industries or even to build them, they got to come to Africa to get the natural resources. They have nothing in Africa. Nothing. And so Africa got everything. So the whole world is on Africa's welfare. We feed the world. And the world of European imperialism rape Africa and leave us starving. They are ungrateful international murderers, international imperialists, international colonialists, and they have brainwashed so many Africans or so many people that look like their own people. They have brainwashed them so bad. They use the religion, they use the Bible, they use education, what they call education. They use the TV, they use everything to take their brains out of them and put a white brain into an African or colonial brain into an African or whatever race that people may be. You may look like the people, but they work against the people, and they get guns and bombs and training right at Fort Benning, Georgia, at the School of the Americas, where they train death squads to go back to your country and kill and murder and torture people. They show them how to do it. They give them guns, modern guns, to go kill and hold guns on their people. And they build armies all over the world in countries that want their freedom. And then the United States feed them weapons and go and kill the legitimate people of different countries, like they did Martin Luther King, like they did Malcolm, like they did Kwame Nkrumah and Lumumba in the Congo, like they tried to do to Fidel Castro, like they're doing in Venezuela today. So China, and then they spread the propaganda against China. Oh, don't, China gonna get you. Don't mess with China. China gonna get you. No, France, Britain, imperialism of the West are the ones that have gotten the world, and they're the enemies of the world.
He said,
and they will use this propaganda where they do their dirt to tell you China gonna get you, China is bad, and whatever. And they have us under complete censorship, and most of us just go by what we hear them say on CNN, CBS, and the rest of those imperialist propaganda networks.
Man, let me do something right quick. That is incredible. It's like, man, it's heavy, man, because it's so deep. I want to talk about.
I told you this in your dormitory, man.
Oh, I know.
I told you standing up in your cafeteria.
I know.
I told you this, hollering on this campus. Hey, brother, you know about imperialism.
That's right. Let's talk about like 60s a little bit. I do this. Let's see. I'll do a segment called "Picture Tells 1,000 Words." I'm about to pull up a pictures, and you just tell me what's happening in these. All right. Let's see here. This is you. What's happening right here?
Oh, I was with my great friends. I was with my great friends, Kwame Ture, whose name was Stokely Carmichael at the time, and Dr. King, Martin King. I call him Martin. Dr. Martin Luther King, and many other great warriors that's walking behind him in the march. On this march, this was a time when they didn't allow us to vote. This is the time that right after they killed 3 civil rights workers, put them in jail, SNCC workers, matter of fact, they put them in jail. And when they put them in jail, for working voter registration in Mississippi, they took them out of jail and went out and lynched them, and lynched them and killed them, but then this was right after they killed Medgar Evans, right after they killed Mr. Damon in Hattiesburg, right after they beat Fannie Lou Hamer, right after they burnt down about 60 to 70 churches in the state of Mississippi in 1964, right after they burnt down schools, right after they brought in tanks and armies to fight us because we tried to register people to vote in the state of Mississippi. And they were finding lynchings and all kinds of things, and that's what Mississippi was known for, and that's what they were doing. So they were standing and putting their knees and ropes around men of our necks, catching black brothers and sisters, taking brothers out and cutting their penis off and sticking in the found on the road laying on the road with the penis sticking in their mouth or hanging from trees and stuff. And this is the terrorism that they were putting in our people. And we went there, Stokely and all of us in SNCC, we went there to fight it and to stand up against it. But we met brute forces that fought us, and they did all kinds of things against us. But the SNCC project we went there in 1961, we're under the leadership of Bob Moses and Jim Foreman and John Lewis and other freedom fighters. And there were so many unnamed freedom fighters that played major roles and had major personalities in that movement. And that on this march, we had fought that they passed a civil rights bill. And this was right after they had beat John Lewis and other SNCC workers and other people from Selma and Lowndes County in that area. They had beat them. And when they beat them, for trying to register to vote or trying to speak out or march, for trying to vote, they were beat and put off their land and all kinds of things happened to them. And that, matter of fact, this is right after Stokely Carmichael and Kwame Ture, as we know him. We started, after they beat John Lewis on the bridge, we went and started the Black Panther Party in Lowndes County, Alabama. In Lowndes County, Alabama, we really started the party after that night. They, with John Lewis, them had marched after he'd been beaten. We went to Montgomery, had a meeting. Martin was the speaker, the main speaker. And then after we got to Montgomery, we had to bring the people back to the rural areas that we had brought them back in cars. And one lady was giving them a ride home, and she came down from Detroit, and she was a white lady and her husband worked. The family was part of the Teamsters, and she came down and gave Jimmy Jones them a ride. And when they gave Jimmy Jones and the others a ride, she was getting ready to drop Jimmy Jones off and driving down Highway 80, coming out of Montgomery, Alabama. They would enter into Lowndes County. And when they went over a bridge right outside of Whitehall, went over a highway, went over a hill right outside of Whitehall, Alabama, a group of white men rode up beside them. And one guy named was Roy, and he had been known to be part of the bombing and putting bombs all around the South. He was part when the Freedom Riders went down into Anderson, Alabama, went through Montgomery. It was him and his group threw a bomb on the bus and tried to burn the bus where the Freedom Riders was on the bus. And then it was him and his group that planned the bombing of the Birmingham church where they killed 4 little black girls and shot another little boy in the streets on that same day. And at the same time, it was Roy and the FBI and the Ku Klux Klan and the police departments in Alabama who put a bomb in the Gaston Motel when Dr. King and myself and many others was in their sleep. We woke up one night to a very loud noise and the hotel had been blown up. Wow. At the same time, we woke up one night, a night after then, that 100 or more white men, firemen and police and other Klan groups bust into the hotel where we were and start kicking doors in and fighting us and trying to beat us. And we had to come out of our room, some naked, some in their drawers, and we had to fight. And even Dr. King had to go out there and throw blows. I didn't know he knew karate, but he had to go out. he had to go out there and fight because he was fighting for his life and fighting for our lives. And that they were throwing so many dynamites in Birmingham that we named Birmingham Birmingham.
Dang, Birmingham.
Yeah, they were blowing up the neighborhoods, and that even though we were nonviolent, we had no choice but to buy guns and stand up at night in our neighborhoods on every corner and with guns, waiting on the Klan, the police, or the FBI to come up there to throw their dynamite and bomb our houses, and we had to do that. Ooh. So the march that you're looking at, and they put terrorism in our people just because they tried to register to vote. So James Meritor, who was the first Black man to go to school in Mississippi, integrate to university, when he integrated to university, they had riots, people died. But anyway, he decided after these marches that he was going to walk through Mississippi and tell Black people not to be afraid. Don't be afraid of terrorism. Don't be afraid of the bombs and the assassinations and the terrorism that they are committing on us in Mississippi, in this country. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. And we had forced this government to pass a voters' rights bill because we were tearing the country up, just like they responded to Black Lives Matter. We put that kind of pressure on them in 1960, during the 60s, and that forced them to pass a civil rights bill and a voters' rights bill. And that's why Biden, under pressure, is speaking up now, because he's forced to. He see that we're at a stage of war in this country, and we not going to take too much more, and the cup is run over, and it's just a matter of time before it bursts, and we go into throwing bricks and balls and firebombs and burning this country down and going to war. And that because all of us see murder, we see death, we see destruction of our children, of our people. We see our people being shot down, our men, our now 13-year-old girls and 20-year-old boys shot down. They targeting us and shooting us, and that we have no choice but to prepare for war, because this crime that they're committing is not just in the United States. You can see the same thing in the Congo, in South Africa, in Brazil, in Australia, down there where they had the coconut revolution. They killed, murdered Black folks so bad there, and taking everything and robbing them, and that they had no choice. This is a Black country, Bougainville. They had no choice but to pick up guns. They had no weapons. They had no weapons at all. And then they said, well, we got to have weapons. They're dropping bombs on flying overs in F-16, dropping bombs on our country. Dang. And we have to figure out how to fight. Wow. So they didn't have nothing. They don't grow nothing but coconut. That's all. Coconut trees everywhere. They have coconut furniture, coconut houses, coconut food, coconut breakfast in the morning, coconut everything. It's a coconut country. Right. So they say everything is coconut. And this white man, these people, this imperialists continue to come at us. They made coconut bombs. They made coconut guns. And these coconut guns start shooting down the airplanes and fighting against their soldiers. And they made fight a war. And it's called the Coconut Revolution. Wow. And you can Google Coconut Revolution and you'll see where they defeated the white man. They defeated the Australians. They defeated the colonialists. They defeated the imperialists with coconuts.
Wow, so, man, that's impressive. Party people, y'all got to look this up, man. You got to do the research. You got to read on this.
The Coconut Revolution, the Coconut Revolution. Wow. So now they're still fighting today. They're down there, but they won, but they're struggling, just like other Black nations are struggling. Mm-hmm. And that so here this march, the Black we walked from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi, 240 miles.
Okay, now wait a minute. Is that this one? Is that this one?
Now, this is in Montgomery, Alabama. That's after they beat John Lewis on the bridge, after they made Dr. King turn back. Dr. King, matter of fact, came to Montgomery, and he was in Montgomery with us during this period here. And we was fighting. I was organizing the students at Alabama State and they put the police to blockades where we couldn't march. And I was confronting the police to move, to get out of our way, and we have a right to march, we have a right to demonstrate and whatever. And that was in Montgomery, Alabama in 1965. And during this time, we marched the people down the street, headed to the Capitol, fighting for the right to vote and what have you. And they ran, I led a march, and they ran horses over, these guys ran horses over the children from Alabama State and the high school students, whoever was marching with us, and people from the community. They ran horses over the people and hurt them very badly. And it was the same as they did to John Lewis. But they don't publicize, let the world know what they did in Montgomery, because what they did to John Lewis, they did to many of us, and it's nothing new. So yeah, that was in 1965 in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay, let me see.
I was fighting a war in Montgomery, Alabama. I fought many wars. And this is March with Dr. King. We were in Mississippi, marching down Highway 51. And when we marched down Highway 51, it was called the Meriton March, but we turned it into the Black Power March. And when we marched down 51, they were beating us and throwing fire bombs at us and shooting at us and cursing us, calling us niggers and all kinds of things. So the threat of death and violence were always there. But we took Dr. King for his first time. We put Dr. King out in the field because he had to try to keep up with me and Stokely and the SNCC people. And we went out with Fannie Lou Hamer, and we roused the people up to a level that Dr. King had never seen. But he was pretty much educated and learned a lot down there. But that's where we introduced him to Black Power. And we started saying Black Power. We said we want power for Black people. And no longer will we just beg the white man for whatever, but we want power. We had Black Power. We could have they couldn't take our land. And we had Black Power. We could build better schools for ourselves. We could have, they wouldn't be killing us in the streets. We had Black Power. We wouldn't be sharecropping, where you work all year for some white farmers, work all year, and at the end of the year, they tell you owe them money. And we had Black Power. We would have running water. We had Black Power. We wouldn't have to walk a mile to get a bucket of water out the well in different areas. All kinds of things we brought up, but Black Power brought up the conditions of our people. But not only did Black Power bring the condition up, it brought the will out for us to fight and take what we wanted and need for Black people. And we put our destiny in our own hands and said we will fight until we gain our freedom. So Black Power was a call for Black people to come together in Mississippi. It was a call out to the world. We need Black Power. And we called out for Black Power. The whole world heard us. And when the whole world heard us in Detroit, Newark, all over the country, the cities started burning down. They were saying Black Power. And you would find, just like the market.
Did you create this term?
I gave it to them. I presented it to the people.
Oh, okay.
And when I presented it to the people, the city started burning down. Detroit started coming out, and they were fighting. They burnt down Detroit, and they were saying Black Power. They brought the army into Detroit and started tanks rolling down the streets, shooting Black children, women, and men to death. They did the same thing in Newark. And by fact, they did it in over 125 different cities right here in the United States. They were shooting us down in the streets and killing us. Right here in Atlanta, when they had rebellions here, they did the same thing. Many people lost their lives. But I remember a little boy named Reggie. He was 8 years old, and the police shot him in the stomach. So the police got a history of shooting and killing Black people, Black children, Black women, Black men, Black old folks, any kind. And that's what they do. And this is what they train to do.
How do you feel about the media, the differences in the media? Because I know when I look back in this time, we were talking about you only had the ability to
No, let me back up. There was only someone that had a camera taking photos out there, or somebody that had a movie camera filming. But now everybody has cameras on their phones, and they posting and they putting their own ideas up, and the media is going wild with the new technology right now. What do you think about that and what that does for us?
Time to me, I was having pictures. Well, this little girl that took a picture of that Floyd man, she was 17, and she put her camera over there and took the most well-known picture that the world has ever seen. The whole world is looking at her work 1,000 years, and she was a little amateur girl, a little amateur camera with just a little conscious, and she was conscious enough to put that move on that film on that police with on the brother's neck and murder him, and so that gave us great knowledge. So these people have killed us, murdered us, beat the hell out of us, and tortured us, and what have you, and there's no films and no records of it. So the police just tell a lie, and they stop us every day in these cars, and the police tell a lie and take us to some judge, where the judge rob us for all kinds of money, charge us thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars that we don't have, and they use the police to catch us, and then they take us into the judge where the judge robs us. And then they fill the jails and prisons up with us. Prisons ain't nothing but modern day slave ships, and that they need to be burnt down, and all the young men need to be, and women and children need to be released out these prisons and put into universities and of great knowledge. But these people are victims of colonialism and imperialism through slavery and the slave trade and the prison. The prison, nothing but an extension of slaves and slave traders. So slave ships. The prison industrial complex, and it's a major root of the United States, a major force of the United States, and they use that, they finance that to round up black men where we won't be strong, and also rounding up black men and putting them in jails and prisons is a form of genocide. Because whenever you take the men out the population, then the babies can't be born. And that it reminds me when the Arabs came to Africa, even before the Europeans, one of the things that they did to spread their culture and to take over Africa and to force their religion and what have you on our people, they would go in and kill many people. But one of the things they would do is capture the men. And when they capture the men, they would castrate them, cut their penis off, or whatever castration is, cut their penis off, and then where they can't have children, and then they would go rape all the women. And now the women would have half Arab children. And that's one of the things they use as a weapon is rape and what have you, and genocide on our men. So you find many millions of men that was kidnapped, and that was castrated by Arabs, and Europeans are still doing the same thing, and they're doing it all over the world. So we have to fight. We have to make a revolution, because the crimes are still being committed against us. This imperialist power continues to spread around the world. And it's a major system, imperialism. And they got an army, they got major armies in certain areas, they got nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs, and then they got thousands and thousands of proxy armies that they train in local people, and they give the orders to them, even though they dark, black, brown, yellow, Venezuela, however they look, and they got these armies, and they attack their own country and governments and destabilize their own people, where the West can continue to rape and rob and take the land and territory that they need.
Wow, man. Let me ask you about some names here. Did you ever meet Malcolm?
I was there with Malcolm at Tuskegee and in Selma in 1965. Snick invited him to come speak at Tuskegee Institute, and also we invited him to come to Selma when we were marching and organizing down there right after they beat John Lewis and others on the bridge.
Okay, so he joined in with you guys. You guys.
Oh yeah, he said Malcolm said we were his we were the youth of what he was talking about, and we were the students, and we were going to graduate into his organization and movement. So he had great respect for SNCC.
Oh, I love it. What about Martin? How'd you meet Martin?
When I was a young man myself, and I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and in 1960, 3 students from A&T College, they went and had a sit-in, and they sit where the white folks sit at Woodward. And that's what gave, and they put them in jail because they sit in a store where the white people are supposed to sit, and we're supposed to sit in the back or don't sit at all.
Right.
And when they sit there, they were put in jail. And when they put them in jail, the students from around the country picked up on it, and they went and started sitting in everywhere, and that gave birth to a sit-in movement.
Wow.
And when the sit-in movement hit, just like Black Lives Matter hitting today, it spread it everywhere. And all the kids began to go sit in at these places. And I was a young man in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that my friends, all of them were in college and high school. I quit school. I couldn't take that. I quit school, and matter of fact, I quit in the 7th grade. They ran me out. Oh, they ran me out. I said, on the way to school, I just cut for a second. But when I was a little boy, I had a sister. She didn't want to go to school, and she would take baby steps to school and cry all the way. And we had to go through a jungle really to get to the school. And by the time I got there, we were a minute or 2 minutes late every morning. And when you got there, they would beat you. She was already crying and out of control, so they wouldn't hit her, but they beat me. So every day when I got to school, they beat me with a piece of wood pal about an inch thick, or leather strap that was thick. And you could hear me probably hollering down the hall in the mornings. And that then they would send me to the classes, and I went there, and that continued to happen every day. But then I had bad eyesight, and when they realized I had bad eyesight, they flunked me in the 5th grade, and they flunked me in the 6th grade, and then they and where I was in the school, they gave me a state test that everybody take, and I made the highest mark on the state test of all the children in the whole state. And then they come there and ask me one question: how did you do this? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What you mean, how did I do it? And anyway, they couldn't figure that out, even though they had flunked me. And then by the time they passed me to the 7th grade, I wasn't interested in none of what they were talking about, not an inch. And I went there, and I would start cutting school, going to the streets. I would go by the school every evening sometime and steal the teachers' hubcaps. And then I went and just started hanging out with some other brothers that wasn't school bound. And then I ended up getting a little job as a waiter, waiting tables on white people. And then I ended up going to the pool hall and hanging out in the pool hall when I was a young man. And then during that time, the sit-in movement started. And when the sit-in movement started, my sister and my other friends were in the school. I started hanging around in the school, just like I did Morehouse. I was hanging around the high school. So I got some practice before I got to Morehouse. And so I started hanging out in the school. Everybody thought I was a student, and I was up and down in there. So, and I became very popular, riding the school bus every day back and forth to school and work and hang around all day long, talking and acting, whatever I was doing, I can't imagine. But then the sit-in movement started. And when the sit-in movement started, I got involved in it. And when I got involved in it, we was involved with rebellions and riots, and we marched downtown. Boy, they tried to beat us up, but we fought back. Oh, we fought them. And then
I see
the next day,
Mukasa, I see that you were one of the fiery ones, man. When I look at all the photos and the movies, the clips, and all that, man, you weren't messing around, man.
Oh yeah, I was young, so I had a lot of energy and big mouth and it was turned around to be, my big mouth was turned around to be used for the freedom movement. And so when we went down there, boy, we fought them white folks that first day. I mean, we fought them. Well, the first day it had us outnumbered. It was 1,000 of them. They beating us up and hitting us, but we were fighting back. And then we got back to a street, and they tried to come up. We all started throwing bricks and balls at each other and whatever. And then the next day, we turned out the whole school. We had about, if it wasn't 10,000 people down there, more. And the white folk bought their 10,000. We went down through there breaking windows. And matter of fact, I was participating in the first riot, the first rebellion in the civil rights nonviolent movement. I was participating in the first riot, breaking windows, knocking crackers upside the head, fighting back, and what have you. And then they brought in the fire trucks. They brought everything in. And we threw bricks and balls at the fire truck, knocked police upside the head with bricks and every damn thing else. And so I participated in that, and I used my energy for it. And so that made national news. We fighting. And Dr. King, the head of the NAACP, all of them ran to Chattanooga, and they trying to stop, we don't need the violence, whatever. And they got us cars in a room in a big church and talked to students about nonviolence, told us about nonviolence. I was up there with a guy named C.T. Vivian. You heard of C.T. Vivian?
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, he was Dr. King's top man. So me and him was there, so I led that. And then Dr. King and them came there and later on and say, look, we kept the movement going. Me and a couple of other people, we kept it going, demonstrating every day. And they killed one of my friends. I had a friend named Fish. We was in a demonstration one day. The boy come by with a gun, said something. He said something. The boy shot him, killed him right there. And he laid right there and died. And I was trying to help him. Somebody said, well, you can't help him no more. He's gone. He's dead. And that was very shocking. I stayed awake for many nights after they had killed him. But anyway, I kept the movement going in Chattanooga. And then CT and Dr. King and them said, you got great energy, and that we want you to, you got to stay in the movement. And Dr. King and them, they recruited me, but they said, well, Dr. King said, I don't want you to work in my organization. You're a little militant, but there's another organization that's being formed and being put together by Ella Baker, and Dr. King had gave her $800 to call all the students together and create some kind of organization, a youth organization for Dr. King. But when we got there, Ella Baker said that she didn't need, we need an organization, but we don't need to be the youth group or nobody. We need our own organization. And we formed from that the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC. And when we formed SNCC, we had our own organization and our own personality. So that's how I ended up meeting Dr. King, because when I became in SNCC, in many areas that I worked in, Dr. King came there and we began to speak on platforms together. I ended up by this talking and big mouth I have, I ended up being the spokesman. SNCC was an organization that when we formed, we had a different style of leadership. Dr. King and his organization and the preachers, they were the leaders. Whenever the preachers rise up in any city or in an organization, they were the leaders. Dr. King was the leader. And then in SNCC, we didn't believe in that style of leadership. We said that our organization, we would have leadership from the local level, the people would be the leaders. So when we go into a town, we went and we send people to all the different towns in Mississippi, Alabama, South Georgia, South Carolina. And when you go to these towns,
Right.
your job was, one, to go in and find the local people. And when you find the local people, you form an organization. When we went into Albany, Georgia, we formed the Albany movement, and then you had an executive board, chairman, secretary, finance person, whatever, just different officers there on that level. And our job was to serve them, and they were our boss. And we were just their servants. And they would give us food, somewhere to stay, sleep on the couch and whatever. And then we would form a youth movement. And the youth movement would be the shock troops. And we would teach them children freedom songs, teach them about our history and culture and whatever.
Wow, the shock troops
that we were dealing with back then. But we put together what we call freedom schools, and we do it under trees, anyway, in the basement of somebody's church or in a house. And we just talk, sing freedom songs. Ain't scared of nobody cause I want my freedom. Ain't scared of your dogs cause I want my freedom. They bomb us. We were singing songs. Ain't scared of your bombs cause I want my freedom. They would beat us with Billy Jack. Ain't scared of your Billy Jack cause I want my freedom. They put dogs on us. We were saying songs. Ain't scared of your dogs cause I want my freedom. And we would tell people we were going to be free. And we were saying, so I know freedom is coming. I know freedom is coming and it will be here before long. And we just sang those kinds of songs to inspire the children. But a lot of those songs were very educational,
right?
Too, because we were singing those songs and educating them, putting that energy in them and whatever. But so those and these movements got so big, like the Albany movement got so big that they put hundreds of people in jail. And the jails got so full that, and it was so tense that we want to bring national attention to what they were doing. They called in Dr. King, and Dr. King came into the Albany movement and participated in it. And that in that area where we were, they were doing all kinds of things. Like in our house, we stayed in Dawson, Georgia, right outside Albany. If we take 2 or 3 people down to try to register to vote, they machine gun the house. Throw dynamite on our porch.
Man.
They machine gun Mr. Daniel's house.
Now, who would be doing this? Citizens would be doing this?
The sheriff, the police, the Klan, no difference in them. All of them hated on us.
Dang.
FBI and agents played roles in it. They all hated on us. And so we was at a state of war. So to answer your question, through revolution and the movement, I came in contact with Dr. King in Albany. And then we were fighting a great battle in Montgomery. I was because I could speak, and I was I could speak and talk and get the people roused up. They always threw me on the platform with Dr. King,
right?
With whoever,
right?
They threw me up there, and I got on them platforms, and I would speak, and I would be right there sometime with all the different preachers and whatever. And they would try to act like preachers with this. So SNCC say, we have a preacher too. His name is Reverend Ricks, Willie Ricks. So John Lewis and I'm known throughout the South as the Reverend. I go in and rouse them up and fight and encourage them to fight and tell them that Jesus said, get your gun, your stick, and be like David, knock the hell out of this giant with a rock. And this is what I encourage them to do.
Wow.
But so I came in contact with Dr. King through the movement in Montgomery, in Selma, Albany, Georgia, here in Atlanta, and different places. But we became soldiers in battle together through the work that I was doing. So the sit-in movement, and then brought us together.
Yeah. See, this answers a lot of questions for me because I always wondered how someone such as yourself could be so willing to fight back and boisterous and militant and whatever words you want to use, while King was more you know, had more of a, I guess, straight and narrow image. But you guys were able to work together. Now I understand, because they sort of kept you separate and said, hey, you run this, you in charge of this, and y'all do your thing how you do it, and we still do our thing and support y'all as the older guys, right? Is that it pretty much?
Yeah, he basically supported him through the work and whatever. We were Millers and young, and he was like old, as we considered. He was, maybe 15 years older than most of us.
Right.
But and they were ministers and preachers and whatever. But you know how you feel. And Snick went and attacked everything and had a much larger organization than they had. And we were grassroots, because everywhere we went, we built an organization. We started the Black Panther Party in Lowndes County, Alabama. And then the other people from the north came and saw us down there with guns, defending the people in Lowndes County, Alabama, right there where they killed Viola Uzo, right there where they killed Jonathan Daniels and others that they killed right there around Selma and whatever. But we picked up guns to defend ourselves. When they would come out there shooting at us, we started shooting back. When they come in our house at night, we started shooting back. And that we were living and our lives were just on the line. When we leave the house, we didn't know if we were going to come back or not. But we knew that we would fight back. And so we were being seen as guns, and we formed a party called the Lowndes County Freedom Organization. And this party, because the white people wouldn't allow blacks to vote, so we formed our own party. And when we formed our party, we used an emblem of a Black Panther Party. And so instead of the newspapers and people respecting us as a Lowndes County Freedom Organization, they started putting it all over the country and knew the Black Panther Party down there. And they got guns and they fighting back. But when the people tried to register to vote, they put them out their houses, made them live in tents, white man put them off their farms and stuff. And we got some tents and bought down there and put families in them. And then the white people come by there, sheriff, all of them come by there shooting in the tents at night. So in order to defend it, we had to get guns. And when they come, we would shoot back and fire them up.
Man.
And that's how the Black Panther Party got started.
That's how it got started?
Yeah, it got started in Lowndes County, Alabama. And then when they got started, saw us down there and we looked so good to young people in the north, they called and said, can we start Black Panther chapters in different parts, here in New York or here in Philadelphia or here in LA or Watts or whatever they did.
Did you guys meet?
And they did.
Did you meet?
We bought here in Newton. We bought here in Newton and Bobby Seals. They were our students. They were our young brothers. We brought them in, let them use our sneak offs and trained them, told some of our youth to go work with them and encouraged them and showed them the way. And matter of fact, we print up the stuff for them and send them out to pass it out and help them form. Because what SNCC would do is everywhere SNCC would go, it would form an organization and then give that organization to the people. You in charge, you make decisions. We help you build, help you come together, and we step back. Now you the leaders. And that's what we did at the Black Panther Party. And that's what we did many organizations throughout the South, Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, the Dallas County movement, and Sumter County movement. You can Google Sumter County movement right now, and you'll see the work we did in Sumter County, where when kids marched, they beat them and put all them children in prison, in jails. But you can Google Sumter County movement, you can Google Albany movement, and you begin to see what have you. And then you can look at the SNCC, SNCC Legacy Project, and you'll see many, many movements, and you become educated to it. But yeah, we went and we were fighting against real slavery.
Wow.
Slavery.
Wow.
Democrats or Republicans were both killing you and throwing bombs at you.
I got a few more questions for you. I know we've been running for a while. Do you know the name? I shouldn't ask you, do you know? But I want to talk about the name Bunchy Carter. Are you familiar with what happened to him? Black
Bunchy
Panther
Carter
in Los Angeles.
Black Panther died at UCLA. Bunchy Carter and another little brother, I can't think his name.
Hutton Hillard.
Not Bobby Hutton. Bobby Hutton died too in the gun battle.
Oh yeah, he died. It was damn.
He died in a gun battle.
Okay.
But there were many gun battles. They would come and attack the different officers of the Panthers and whatever, and they would shoot back. And that, Bunch Carter died at the UCLA. They were having a conference, and there was some kind of conflict, and between us, a group called Us, Ron Karinga, he had a group, and he was based on culture to a level, but and they had a shootout, and when they had a shootout, that's when Buncher got killed. They were fighting among them with themselves over, I guess, military or how we would proceed.
Right. Well, the reason I bring his name up leads to my next question is because what we understand here in LA, I'm in LA, is that Bunchy Carter was the guy that held all the street dudes at the time. Were all organized under Bunchy Carter in Los Angeles. So the gangs and everybody had unified, and he was recruiting. All of those things were going on at the time in LA, right? And when he passed away, it seemed to make the way for the youngsters to come up with not the same focus. And I'm specifically talking about the gangs like the Crips and the Bloods and so forth, who have now spread all the way across the country in all these places. I wanted to know what you thought about them.
Well, the Panthers, when we encouraged the Panthers to get organized, they were fighting against the same thing you're fighting against today. And they would go and find people and police with their feet on people's necks and guns at their heads or whatever. They would go, when the police stopped somebody, they would go there with their guns and say, you ain't gonna put your feet on his neck. You ain't gonna do this. And they would have guns. And many times the police would get so mad, they would turn on them and it would be a shootout. And that's how here Newton got shot. They were defending different black people in the community. Now the Black Panthers was formed to stop them from doing what they did to this Floyd man. Because they were doing it and killing us and committing terrorism on us. So when they tried to do that, the police would turn on them and see them as bad people and even go to their houses and start shooting their houses up and whatever. But when we first started organizing the Black Panther Party, when they came to us to get organized, we were very happy that they wanted to do that. And then we were very happy for this reason, is that we saw the Black Panthers getting organized, and they would be a group that could organize the cities. They would organize the young people in the cities, because the Black Panther Party was known for standing up against the police. So that made them very respectful, very respectful. And when they were known for standing up against the police, they went out there and they confronted people, and some of them got shot, killed, whatever, and some of them killed some police. But by them doing that, they became very respectful, and all the gangs and what have you looked up to the Black Panthers. And the Black Panthers had the possibility of organizing the gangs, the Blood, the Crib, and what have you. They had in the gangs in Chicago and the gangs in the city. So now we're talking about bringing these gangs and the Black Panther Party being the leadership of this gang. And J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, said that these gangs coming together would be an arm inside the United States. And that would be, and they said in their quote, it would be a threat to the security of the United States. So they started doing everything to destabilize the Black Panther Party. And when they started doing everything to destabilize the Black Panther Party, they put FBI agents in it and what have you, and watchers and whatever. But they put us on the most dangerous list, and that they started attacking them and doing everything and trying to destabilize and break them up. Because now the black gangs start, all the gang members, they looking up to us. I went to jail. When I went to jail in New Orleans, they bust me and 5 other people. Matter of fact, 3 of them was from, I think the 4 of them they put in jail, and 3 of them was from California. and that they put us in jail because we were down there working with H. Rap Brown, and they had him all framed up charges because he was the head of SNCC and a major leader in the Black Power movement and one of the most feared and respected African leaders, Black Power leaders in the country. All organizations fell under the leadership of SNCC, and they wanted to destabilize SNCC, and so they put Rap Brown in jail on crunked up charges and had him in a federal jail in New Orleans. And when we went down there to try to organize the people and rouse the people up to help Rap Brown and let the people know who he was, what he represented, and what have you, at his trial, we went over to college to eat lunch when they broke for lunch to let people eat and then go back. But on the way back, the police attacked our car and jumped us with machine guns and let Rap's car go because he was on trial. And they just put machine guns on us, stripped us naked, laying in the streets, hundreds of police standing there with guns at our heads, and searched our cars and us. And the only thing they found was a pillowcase at a hotel that we were staying in. And they charged us with possession of a stolen pillowcase and took us to jail. Oh, yeah. And took us to jail. And then that night they came and say, we're upgrading the charges. And we're charging you with possession of a grain. Somebody had they say, I doubt it, had a grain that you could hardly see, a marijuana in one of their coat pockets. And they charged us with possession of marijuana and gave us a $50,000 bond and then carried us straight to Parish Prison. And when they carried us to Parish Prison, I got the shock of my life. One of the brothers, well, before we got to the prison, a young man that was there in the jail, he said, oh, I'm so sorry they're putting you in this prison. This is the worst prison. So they beating the prison are beating people and they raping people. So y'all, oh, man, I'm scared. I'm so sorry for y'all. And one brother would have started shaking like this because he knew he had to go in there. And the other guy who was going, he had went through all that, but he said he was so sorry for us. And I said, well, I ain't worried about nobody raping me or fighting me. If they try to rape me, they're going to have to fight like hell. And I ain't worried about it. I went to sleep. I went to sleep on the prison thing. And the next morning, they got us up about 5 o'clock, put us in chains, handcuffed us and took us to the jail. And when I put us in jail, I got there about 7 or 6 in the morning and they were feeding the people breakfast. And they put me in a holding cell before they put me up there while we were supposed to sleep.
Right.
And I was standing in the holding cell, and daylight had broken, and they were playing baseball in the field that was behind the one that I looked at. I could see them playing baseball out there, and I could barely see them. And where I was standing, it looked like I stood there for less than a minute. And the ball, somebody hit the ball, then the ball rolled right toward the window. And somebody ran to the window and leaned on the window like they was picking the ball up. They said, Brother Ricks, Willie Ricks, we know who you are. Ask for Tier 2. That's where the brothers are. We waiting for you. Picked the ball up and ran back. And then when I turned and looked and just walked away from him a minute, they were bringing the food and the guy gave me a plate. I walked to the cell door and they were putting the plate in. They handed me the plate and the guy said, ask for Tier 4. We know who you are and we're waiting for you. We got you covered. And I looked, I said, damn. So I didn't ask for nothing. I didn't ask the police for a damn thing. So they put me in a tier. I forgot which one I was in. But when I walked in there, all the brothers were standing there in attention. And I went in and they put me in there and they, a couple of brothers shook my hand. And I started making a speech talking about Black Power and talking to them. And when I started talking to them, all of them stood in attention or sit in attention. I talked to them from about 8 o'clock that morning until they started serving lunch at 1 o'clock. And every brother stood in attention. Brothers were bringing me their glass and said, "Brother, please drink out of my glass."
Wow. Man, you're
and
going to
that-
make me
where
shed
I
a
was in
tear,
there-
man. You're going to make me shed a tear, man. That's
Yeah. They honored me so much in that jail that I remember one brother walked up to me and put his arms around me and said, "Brother, you have changed things since you've been here." And then another brother walked up to me one day and he like put his hands around me and say, "Brother," said, "Look, say I have a little sister out there I ain't seen in years. Said, would you please go and talk to her and take her to a movie? Would you date my little sister?" And I said, "Oh, brother, I couldn't do nothing. I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, thank you, though." And then the brother said, "Please," he showed me a picture of the girl. I said, "Well, I have to rethink this."
Oh, hey, maybe.
Oh, yes. I put some maybe on that one. But they treated me so well in the jail. And then about after a month or so, our lawyers had got it together and they brought us into court. And the judge said, "The only reason we letting you out because we ain't got nothing on you." He said, "But if you say anything about you beat the system, you were smarter than our police, we will deal with you."
Right.
And that, matter of fact, the judge said, "The only reason I'm letting you out, you'll be out of town by sundown.
Wow.
And if we see you on our streets, our police will deal with you." And anyway, they had to let us out.
Wow.
And when they let us out, I was down on Drive Street, right by the Drive Street Y. I got out about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, whatever time we got out. And then by the time I got there and got out the car about 30 minutes later, got out the car, because I was staying, I think I might have been staying right there by the Y or in the Y, I don't know, whatever. But within a minute after I got out the car, the police ran up on me, rolled up on me, jumped out the car, pulled this gun out and cocked it in my chest and said, "If I see you again, I'm putting a bullet right in the middle of your chest. If I see you on the streets again, you'll die right here." And then rapping them told me that since I was so hot, it was time for me to get out of town because they were ready to kill me and ready to do whatever. So I had to leave New Orleans at that time.
Wow, man. Great story.
So going back to your question, I forgot what it was.
Oh, well, really, you answered it. I was asking you about what you thought about the gangs. How
so
they
the
were
gangs, so we
mobilizing and how
organized. Yeah. So we organized the gangs that they had where they fighting among themselves and whatever. The Panthers was fighting the police and doing stuff to help the children, feeding their babies, feeding some of the gang folks' children. And they were great images in the community and they were brave. They looked at them as being brave, standing up against the police because all the gang members hate the police anyway.
Right.
So they have great respect for the Panthers. So the United States government, Hoover said, FBI said they were a threat because they could pull the gangs together and that would have an army inside the United States. And that would be a great threat to the stabilization of the United States. So they started putting everything in there to destroy the Panthers and what have you. And that's one of the threats that they saw the Black Panthers was able to organize the gangs and bring the gangs together. And that's one of the reasons they went and attacked the headquarters, killed Fred Hampton, and killed many, many other people because they were affiliated with the gangs.
Right. Wow.
Because they were affiliated with the Black Panther Party.
Right.
And that's why they wanted to kill them. And that's what they were afraid of, the Black Panther Party, because they had the ability of pulling those gangs together. And not only the gangs, the prisoners, they respected us for going out there, standing up against the police and standing up against the United States government. Because anytime a man humble and weak and as I am, go into prison and become the head and the honoring every man in the prison, know you're there, and they changed the whole behavior of the prison. Not a fight, not an argument took place in the prison where I was in there, and they all honored me and respect me. So it was just like in Morehouse. I had to go in there and fight, but before it's over, every brother and sister at Spelman and Morehouse stood in attention when Mukasa came in. I debated, argued, answered every question that the students had, presented them with new questions, Pan-Africanism, Africa Revolution, and all kinds of other things, and they end up respecting and honoring me at Morehouse just like they did in Parish Prison in New Orleans.
Wow.
And just like many brothers and sisters do on the streets and alleys and corners and clubs and dope houses that I go in today, elementary schools, daycare, high school, colleges, I do nothing but get respect and honor from the people because I serve the people and I tell them the truth.
Wow, Mukasa. Look, on that note, Mukasa, man, we're going to end this interview, man. You gave me so much knowledge that I know I heard it all back in the day, but I didn't hear all your stories, you know, and I know you got a million.
Oh, you couldn't hear it now. You was too young to hear it.
Yeah. I was too young to hear it. And rebelistic.
It's coming out now.
Yeah, I was a
rebel. We told you then, I know, but what we told you then is now coming out of your head now.
Facts.
See, before it was going through each year, but now it stopped. You didn't know it registered it somewhere in there, and now it's coming out here and here and what have you. And this is the man that you are today, because the truth is powerful, and that many times you can't hear it because they put all that stuff in your ears and head, and you can't hear the truth and can't see it. They put that mask and say your eyes got cataracts on it. Your ears full of wax. Your tongues are glued to your mouth, so you can't hear the truth, can't see the truth, and can't speak the truth. But only when you began to allow that information and allow knowledge to come in, and you began to hear and you began to see, and you'll see Kemet, you'll see Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Zimbabwe, and you'll see the great history that we have, and you'll see that our people are the greatest people that ever lived on the face of the earth, and that we're coming back to that in a matter of time. U.S. imperialism is like a plane flying in the sky that ran out of gas. It's crushing. It's falling. It's coming down. And where Africa is on the runway, and we're going up, and the world is going up. China is going up. Venezuela is going up. Cuba is going up. Vietnam is going up. Iraq and Syria is going up. The Palestinians are going up, where the Zionists is falling. Israel is falling, and Palestine is coming up. Yemen is coming up. Saudi Arabia is falling. And all the Protestant governments that the imperialists have set up, they will fall with imperialism. Our fight is for Pan-Africanism. We are fighting for Pan-Africanism, the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. And that AAPRP, the Uhuru movement, UHURU movement, and different organizations that exist in the world today, the PAIGC in Guinea-Bissau, the Haitian Revolution is taking place right now. Haiti was the first nation to gain independence and freedom and whooped the white man, whooped the French, and gained independence in 1804, led by Dessalines, led by Toussaint Louverture, Bookman, and other great freedom fighters that you never know the name. But there's been so many. And that the Haitian Revolution is going today, and they were the first people to get free, and that's why the United States, and they had voodoo, what they call voodoo or voodoo, and they used that as their culture and their inspiration, religion, whatever, to inspire them to fight and lead a liberation. We have people like Nat Turner who cut their heads off and scared them to death, and there have been so many, like Lumumba in the Congo, Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, Fidel Castro, my man in Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, the Sandinista in Nicaragua, PAIGC in Guinea-Bissau, Angola, the popular movement for the liberation of Angola, SWAPO in Southwest Africa, in Mozambique, Frelimo, in South Africa, the PAIGC, in South Africa, PAC, the Black Conscious Movement, Steve Biko, And there are many thousands of movements around the world, and we're bringing them together right now in the coconut revolution. Our people are fighting in Morocco, whatever the name is, but the liberation movement in Morocco today, they're fighting. And that and we have different movements around the world. Some are very big. Some have taken over government, like in Zimbabwe. Robert Mugabe is a great inspiration. But there are many, many, and that we want to bring them together under one ideology, fighting for one objective, and fighting for the total liberation, unification of Africa under socialism. All these people are socialists, and Castro being our greatest inspiration. The brother in North Korea, Kim Jong, is one of our greatest inspiration soldiers, and we got them all over the world. And now Africa got many, many soldiers, practice soldiers, some big, some little, all over the world. We're fighting these different governments, fighting against imperialism, and that they have arms now. They have weapons. Some have gas bombs. Some have rifles. Some have launchers. Some have armies with all kinds of things. And some have the idea. And some have coconuts making their little bombs and fighting. But we fight on different levels. And the gangs and whatever. We want to bring all of them together and form a world movement. And when we form this world movement, that'll be a Pan-African organization, a Pan-Africanist movement. And when we put this together, we'll be soldiers fighting on a worldwide level. Otherwise, if we get attacked in South Africa, we can fight in North Africa, East Africa, West Africa, or that we can, the gangs, whoever, we politicize them. They blow something up in Chicago, they hit them in New York, somebody hit them in Mississippi, in Brazil. You got 100 million Africans down there, and all over the world. And Pan-Africanism means you bring them together into one arm and one organization, and that's what we're trying to do. And that these people, I want to warn the world that these people are now armed. They're up in arms. And they will lay their lives down before they lay their arms down. These are the soldiers of the African Revolution. They're determined to build a united socialist Africa and will not stop until imperialism is dead, until Zionism is dead, until colonialism is dead. The revolution is real. The socialist revolution is worldwide, and the Pan-African revolution is linked to the socialist movement, is linked to China, is linked to North Korea, is linked to Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Portosara. The great Portosara revolution is taking place right now, and it's linked to revolutions all over the world. And we are fighting, and we are raising our arms and raising our organization, raising our movement as we talk right here today. So this movement is live and well, and I will announce to you that imperialism is dying. They just got whooped in Afghanistan. They got whooped in Vietnam. They've been whooped and being whooped in Iraq. They're being whooped in Syria. They're being whooped, and they will be whooped in Palestine and Yemen and other places in the world. And there will be new birth and new soldiers rising up with guns, and practice soldiers rising up in different areas as we talk today. So as you get this message today, go get organized, go form your organization, go start ideological development, because we're in a state of war, and we will fight them until they are dead. African soldiers are up in arms and will lay their lives down before they lay their arms down. So to you, my brother, I say Amandla, Izawetu, Uhuru,
Sasa,
Shamaringa, Black Power.
Yes.
Long live Africa. Long live the revolution. Long live Pan-Africanism. Africa must unite. Imperialism, down. Colonialism, down. Neo-colonialism, down. Pan-Africanism, up. Scientific socialism, up. Long live Kwame Nkrumah. Long live Sekou Touré. Long live Malcolm X. Long live Martin King. Long live all the freedom fighters of the world. Thank you, African. Thank you so
Muk-
much, my African brother.
Thank you, Mukasa. Have a good day, a wonderful afternoon, night, weekend, and everything. Keep fighting the good fight, man. You just lit a flame under me today, man. I really appreciate it, man. My listeners are gonna love it. Thanks, my brother. One love.
Black power.
All right.
One love, one people, one aim, one destiny.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Long
Thank you.
live
Thank
Marcus
you.
Garvey.
Yeah,
Long live
yeah.
Marcus Garvey. And Paul Robeson.
I love
Long
it,
live
y'all.
Paul Robeson. Thank you, African.
All right,
Good
Mukasa.
day.
Thank you.
Good day.
All right. All right. Wow, man. Let me play my song. Man. Whew. I don't even know what to say, man. Damn. Whew. Thanks, Mukasa, man, for coming on my show. See, you got to understand this, man. Excuse me. It's serious shit, man. When I got to Morehouse College, I literally was probably the worst student of all time. I'm not this dude that come around trying to act like I'm this, man, I'm studious, man. I went to college, man. No, man. I was the most unlikely. Man, let's not even get into that. But see, what you don't see at Morehouse College, you go to the website, you look at the curriculum, you look at the professors, you look at the teachers, you look at everything, man. You look at the reputation, this and that, everything. Great school. What you don't get to see is a dude that comes into the cafeteria every single day and screams at the top of his lungs, spitting knowledge to the students, to the people. Man, you can't get it anywhere else. Whew. I was a rebel. I challenged everything. When you want to ask who challenged everything, you're looking at them. Nobody did more challenging than me. Mukasa used to talk every single day. You think I'm like kind of like exaggerating. Nigga, every day. Like, no. In the cafeteria, while you're sitting there having your meal, there's a man standing at the other side of the room yelling off the top of his lungs, giving you the game. It's not happening in the classroom. It doesn't happen in the what was it, chapel? No. It was all a collective piece, man. The knowledge, the books, the word, the game. Whew. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, man, at this point, but damn. If you liked it, let me get shout outs, man, to who was tapping in, man. My home girl, Steph. I know you got a alias and shit, but Kev Kimball, C Knight. Who else, man? Ant Dog, Brian Mack. God. Who else, man? My homie Bear, my cousin Mark, my cousin Antoine. Man, we had a lot of people, man, tapped in, man. It's sick, man. My homegirl Adrian. Man. Anyway, listen. We don't spit nothing about no kind of hate, no kind of disrespect. We only speak truth. Truth to the game, party people. Truth to the game. And knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. KRS-One said that.
Whew, that was heavy. Whew, I don't even know what to say. Anyway, man, look, man, I'm gonna peel out of here, man, because that shit was, whew, I don't know, man. You guys leave some good comments, man. That was cool hanging with y'all, man. Please, can you just like it, man? And I know it's kind of heavy. I don't know if you want to share it or not, but if you don't give a F, share the shit too. But go to my YouTube, man, Mike Rob Boulevard, please, and subscribe over there too, man. Anyway, man, I love you guys, man. This shit was like, anyway, King Mike Boogie Supreme Microphone Fiend. Pandemic is kind of, I don't know, winding down a little bit. So y'all gonna see me on some stages. I'm definitely gonna be out of town doing some out of town shit. I wrote 2 scripts during the pandemic, so I'm about to be probably shooting those pretty soon. As my life goes, it's hard to predict what I do next. But anyway, check in with your boy, and we're gonna do this damn thing. Party people. Damn. Peace to Mukasa. Willie Ricks. You put in some serious work, man. Seriously. Serious work. All right, man. I'm in this, man. We out of here. 5,000 G. Play a beat. Damn.
I don't want yours, I want my share to begin. My share of cotton gin, my share of cotton niggas' skin is up in. It's enough for everybody. I'm not here for the tick. I know I'm
rambunctious,
but you made a mistake. I'm trying to get in close proximity to the equate. On my estate, where my waterfall mist evaporates until it get too late to, well, the story. I could go on with it like this, but it would be boring. The truth is I'm cursed.
I like my green with crystals like Folgers, picking up momentum, rolling like boulders. They call me ice, but I'm really much colder. My rhymes is heavy like the weight on my shoulders. I'm spitting that red hot smoldering lava. I fight to the end like the Navajo. Crack a bottle though, make it the goose with cranberry and triple sec. Triple my check, I feel the ripple effect of a fool on the loose. I hit you from every angle, from obtuse to right. Street shit like JJ, I'm dynamite. Slide me some dough, I show you an execution in the flesh. And promise not to leave nothing left. If you vomit, I keep stabbing, shooting, damaging, looting, till it ain't no disputing who the greatest is.
Hey man, I like that shit right there, man. And this shit come from a long time ago, man. We're bringing this shit brand new, something new, you know what I'm saying? Buffalo soldiers, Tuskegee airmen, 54th Regiment, brave and daring. Panthers, rebel slaves on slave ships on one-way trips. Buffalo soldiers, Tuskegee airmen, 54th Regiment, brave and daring. Panthers, rebel slaves on slave ships on one-way trips. Hey, beautiful black queens, a gift from nature. They love a nigga cause that's their nature. Let a man be a man and give him what he need, and I'll assure you he'll never leave. I deliver rhymes like pollen from bees. Don't take my picture, Facebook it please. I'm a forest child cause I like the trees. I like how it help a nigga to breathe. I'm good on the grill and I'll hook up a picture. We make way more songs but ain't no richer. Ain't no Sunset Strip like Richard, but I still stay off the Richter scale of 1 to 10. About a dub is where I'm coming in. I got them rhymes, breath control, and metaphors. I keep that scar on your face, I'm hardcore. Buffalo soldiers, Tuskegee airmen, 54th Regiment, brave and daring. Panthers, rebel slaves on slave ships on one-way trips. Buffalo soldiers, Tuskegee airmen, 54th Regiment, brave and daring. Panthers, rebels, slaves on slave ships, on one-way trips.
I thank God for my family and the family tree. The spirit of my
All right, party
ancestors
people.
inside of me. I'm a sad
Big ups to Ty right there.
Black Star like Marcus Garvey. Stand in front like Rosa Parks, Harry Temple, UEP. But you call it that Turner, time to get free. Fred Hampton, Freddie Douglass, Tuskegee, Booker T.
All right, man, we checking out, y'all. Party people, we out of here. 5,000 G.